Hello everyone, this is Here's Trivia. Welcome back to Season 4 of our Subscribers Game Tournament as we continue here in Round 1 action for Group E. And for our fourth match here, we have Trivenicus in the green versus Zhongyi in the red. Now looking at their compositions, Trivenicus is bringing the same comp he brought from his earlier game where we have He Yi, Zhang Bao, and Yuan Shao. And the units are the same too, a bunch of Spirit Infantry plus a Yaogui Hunter, and then the Northern Cavalry to support the infantry. For Zhongyi, we have the same two generals in Xun You and Wen Chou, and then for this match, he is sticking with Pei Yuan Shao. Now the units are also very similar to his previous match, but he changed one of the Qingzhou unit. So instead of two shielded spearmen, we have a Ji spearman. Nothing too different. Also a lot of spear unit with just a few cavalry in support, but there are some crossbows mixed in for a more balanced composition. As for the generals, I think both sides are pretty similar. One side you have Distant Courage, which is very powerful. On the other side, because Xun You is present again for Zhongyi's game, we have Turn of Tide. So if they can rout someone, including those very easy to rout peasant spearmen, maybe Turning of the Tide can provide a boost for all the units and swing this battle. So let's see how this one plays out on the battlefield. And as we load in here, the deployment's pretty similar on both sides. We have a standard setup here with infantry in the front, cavalry in the back from Trivenicus. And then for Zhongyi, we have the box once again protecting his crossbows with crossbows in the front. He hit his cavalry on the side again. We'll see if they are useful in this application because there's so few of them and there's not exactly a lot of vulnerable unit on this side either, so probably won't find a target. The good news is there's no hail of arrows, so no one's going to be abusing this square formation, but to be honest, if they're just charging straight on, it's actually kind of hard for the square to respond. You're wasting units on the flanks if they're not charging the flank. If they overload one side, you basically divided your force into fourth of their strength. We'll actually concentrate it in the front. We'll just see how this fight goes. There's a lot more cavalry for Trivenicus, and they could definitely play a role. There's a lot of passive buffs. He Yi in particular have a lot of good passive buff for infantry, and obviously we have Distant Courage on top of that. And when you're the passive side, you're giving Yuan Shao the opportunity to abuse the 50% extra charge bonus. Oh, they exposed themselves, okay. Maybe it wasn't well hidden. I guess that's the only reason, because there's no vision play on this side. Oh, there is a vision play, I'm wrong, because there is the Yaogui Hunter, so they do see hidden units. So these cavalry have to come back. Not going to overchase into the crossbow, or at least I hope Trivenicus doesn't overchase into the crossbow. I mean, two very strong generals, 54k health each. Basically, Pei Yuan Shao has the health of a champion, has a good weapon, and has the ability to support as well as debuff enemies, so he's a pretty well-rounded fighter. And of course, it helps to have 82% armor. The question is going to be how to approach the crossbow. What's Wen Chou going to do? Oh, he's going to use his bow again. Who is he trying to sneak the shot on? It's kind of hard to hit from this range. Looks like he's trying to hit Yuan Shao, I'm guessing. Yeah, but at this range it's not doing much. Crossbow hitting the cavalry, that's a good target. I think the setup is wrong. Ye Vanguard Spearmen should not be the first unit up. They should be on the side and be able to shoot 360 against the cavalry. Because you don't want your shielded unit in the front if the enemy don't have range. You actually want your Guardian of the Land to be fighting in the front. This way they actually have way less time to shoot. They're going to get engaged on before... Ooh, micro the cavalry. Recharge. Good target. Zhongyi's cavalry just going to get deleted here. Way outnumbered and also not moving. Infantry is engaging. Yeah, I don't think the Vanguard Spearmen should be up here. They have the combat capability of just the regular Spearmen. They just have a secondary, crossbow. And absorbing the charge is never a good idea. An easy kill there. If... Oh. Alright, Yuan Shao's trying to maneuver himself to stay out of trouble. Both of them have engaged. They both have dismounted. I don't know if they did that on purpose. I can't really see their horses right now. Maybe they got dismounted on the fight, but now they're pretty advantageous. They're pulling out a little bit. I'm sure they'll fight back, even though they got debuffed. Alright, with the cavalry wipe, what would the cavalry do? Maybe come back and help the generals? It's a long trip. Ooh. Trivenicus is giving... He's trapped. He's trapped. He's gonna get some extra hits in. No, okay, they got out. They're ignoring the generals, which is interesting. Oh, never mind. Psych. Alright, the bonus is kicking in. This is where Pei Yuanshao shines. Now, can the cavalry kind of change the odds here a little bit? No. Wait, frontal charge into... Spear? Weird choice. I thought the cavalry was going to help here. He gets killed. Turning the tide being kicked in. Interesting that Trivenicus didn't have his generals fight the enemy generals, but instead just abandoned He Yi. Well, Zhongyi is in there trying to do as much splash damage as he can, but I don't think it's a great idea. Yuanshao is just chilling because, of course, Yuanshao players decide that he just can't fight because they want to use the distant courage, which kind of makes sense. I mean, it's basically making all the infantry unbreakable, and priority for Zhongyi should be somehow to either chase him around or at least kill him. Like, the effort to maintain a square means a couple of units are just not being used, which is just inefficient. You can maybe set up the square when you have like a heavy range advantage, or you just have a troop advantage, like when you play a regular campaign game. But if you're in a multiplayer match where, you know, you're even at the start with terms of funding, having a few units just not do anything is just never smart. Well, the cavalry eventually overwhelmed Pei Yuanshao. See, now they're being thrown in, but they're just piling on. It's just not even spread. If they anything, they should try to go for a flank on some of the units. The roar is pretty much neutralized by the distant courage. It's never going to have an impact. And these cavalry are going to hunt down the general. I'm pretty sure they're going to go after Winchell right here. And I guess Zhongyi is just going to go around and try to hunt enemy infantry. Oh! I mean, he's just finishing off He Yi. It's not anything that's important technically. He Yi was already routed. Running up the tide. I mean, that's the only thing he can sort of provide. It's a decent amount of morale boost, a lot of damage boost. Definitely very useful. It's good until a routed unit leaves his range. Whether or not there will be routed unit depends on how often Yuanshao gets into a fight. There's just not much left because Winchell is just getting hunted by the cavalry. Now we just have these two Qingzhou unit and Guardian Land getting killed. The Wei Hunter's not worth much. Now with Winchell dead, the cavalry now goes for Sun Yu and the army is routed. So I think for Sun Zhongyi's comp, it's pretty much the same story every time. He likes to do the box setup with the crossbows. It feels very much like a campaign battle. But when you're up against someone who has the same exact funding in terms of army cost, it's just less efficient to be so passive. I mean, this match, at least he is not up against Hail of Arrow, even though I would argue most of the Hail of Arrow usage against him earlier were not super efficient. But overall, it kind of just go with a infantry heavy comp that's very stagnant, that doesn't actually get as much kills as they should. They should be on the flank. Like, if we do the setup, probably 2 of these would be enough. They're too expensive. You put them on the flank, recruit 1 less here, and then on Sun Yu, probably recruit Qingzhou units across the board. They will be more cost efficient, and then the money you save by doing that, you can summon the same northern cavalry on Winchell because he belongs to Yuanshao's faction. You can probably get maybe the same 2 cavalry, maybe even 3 or 4 cavalry, because this unit is actually super expensive. So if you're able to have 4 cavalry to support this composition, it might be better off. I also don't really like Guardian of the Land. I think they're a little overpriced. You just basically get more armor on them. They're vulnerable to range in terms of range abilities as well. Usually you don't run into range unit. But as you can see, the crossbow is really not paying off. You're getting 6 and 9 kills. That's just nothing. Even if they're on the cavalry, they took out half of a cavalry unit. The square is just not working. I think it's better off lay it out very flat. Of course, they will try to out-rotate you. That's where the square formation from these really come in handy, because you'll be able to get kills on them against cavalry as they try to loop around you, constantly shooting them from 4 directions instead of having to turn your unit around as they go around, and that really mess up very tight spaces. Having too few cavalries and not luring their cavalry into your spear formation, they just stood there and got charged. That's how these cavalries died. And then afterwards, they were able to leverage their cavalry advantage into killing the generals, even though they did get a good focus on He at the very beginning, once the cavalry joined the fight, and the infantry wasn't able to pull out anywhere, and Yuan just got to sit there and look pretty in this fight without getting punished at all for it. So that sort of summed up the fight, and we have Trivenicus taking the win here. So 2 more matches to go in this group. Hope you guys enjoyed this. We'll see you all then. Bye!